I've been genuinely obsessed since I saw it from the moment that it happened. You know, it was around Thanksgiving, and what a thing to be thankful for. Wow. I can't stop reading Drake's filing. Drake's court filing, suing UMG. I mean, Drake suing UMG, Spotify, I think iHeartRadio, yeah. Like, he's suing everybody but Kendrick. Like, all right. In case you don't know, because I don't expect everybody to just know everything I'm talking about all the time. In case you don't know, Kendrick Lamar is a rapper. He's a phenomenal rapper. You know, some are saying the best to ever do it, right? There are a lot of people that, yeah, except Drake, yeah. Kendrick Lamar is absolutely killing it right now, and he was in a beef with Drake. Now, if you don't know, Drake was a rapper. He was a rapper until Kendrick Lamar rapped while he was rapping, and then they did it at each other, and it did not go well for Drake. Now Drake is suing, and it's such a thing to take apart because it's genuinely complicated, right? Like not just the suit, but the reasoning for the suit, and like who would actually be in like a bad position, you know? A lot of this, weirdly enough, if you go all the way back, starts with Kanye, now known as Ye, right? Now, during his Life of Pablo tour, Ye went on this rant. Now, Ye became known for rants. That was like a thing as far back as the Yeezus tour. Probably started, I actually think it started when he was touring 808 and Heartbreak, where just mid-concert, instead of an intermission, he would go on a wild rant, right? Like, and sometimes the rants would have some genuine little nuggets in them of like, oh, that's an inspiring thing that he said. I'm gonna hold on to that. And then sometimes it would be full of things where you were like, does he know? But he's all right. And in one of these rants that became like part of going to the concert, what's Kanye going to talk about? What's he going to go off on and everything? During Life of Pablo, Ye does this thing where he's like, radio lied to you, right? Now, Ye is probably one of the most imperfect messengers of our time. Like, it's sometimes, hear me out, once in a while, sometimes he has something to say that has genuine value in the industry. There are things that he says that are inspiring to anyone who takes inspiration from it, right? And there are some times where he's like so unclear, but he's like about to get there, right? And this was one of those moments, because what he was basically saying was that Drake and some of these artists, they were being artificially pumped up. They were being force-fed to us. We could not get away from them. And he took issue with it because he was like, look, you're being lied to. Something is being sold to you that is not genuine. Something is being sold to you that is completely artificial. It's a machine built by an industry to take your money. The thing that you're being sold has no soul to it. There's no artistry to it. It's just like a complex compound to take as much money from you as possible, maybe to give you the feeling of something genuine, but it's not there, I promise you. It's all been talked about behind closed doors. They've all come up with a plan to take as much of your money as possible, to take as much of your attention as possible, and to have you feeling like you're connected to some of the most hollow people who have ever lived, right? But instead of saying that, he goes, radio lied to you. So understandably, in the moment, people didn't quite understand what he was trying to say. You know, and then there's another interview more recently during the beef when it started where, you know, Ye basically says he was, and it's something that a lot of Drake stans brought up where he was like, a lot of us involved were just so excited about the destruction of Drake, you know? And they were excited because depending on who you talk to, Drake been a menace for a minute. Like Drake has been sleeping with people's very significant others. You know, he's been doing like shady stuff. There's people who've worked on projects with Drake, and then he went ahead and even though he worked on the project with them and was happy to collab and everything, releases a project that's kind of like theirs right before, just to. There's things he's being accused of that are like none of it is illegal, but a lot of it is terrible, right? And so, you know, Ye had his own issue with him, Drake, Kardashians, all that stuff, and so he was like. What people don't understand about Drake is that he has a rich baby daddy named Lucian. And Lucian was the top of UMG. And so now at the top of UMG, you have someone pushing Drake nonstop. And if you heard Scorpion, I don't know how you missed it, but it was the most pushed album maybe of all time. Basically, if you got on Spotify, there were people that sued Spotify because they were like, everywhere I go is Drake. I can't click away from Drake. He's coming up on playlists that have nothing to do with him just to push Drake. You will literally type in, look, I'm looking for like a little gym bob to get like some exercise too, but I really want it to be mellow, like a little Regina Spektor or something like that, but a little bit more tempo than like a Regina Spektor. And then Spotify would be like, do you mean Drake and braids? Like, you know, you'd be like, I want some hard rock, like something classic, something that is maybe like hair metal, you know, like some of that glam punk to it and everything. And then Spotify would be like, do you mean Drake making a mean face? And you know, he files these lawsuits, and the internet comes for him. They come for him in a way that I thought the beef was bad, but the way that the internet came for this man when he sued, they were calling him Aubrey Graham Cracker. They were quoting lyrics from him. It was I don't know, it was kind of hard to watch. Like I don't even like Drake, and I was like, man, this is a lot. This is, you know, but he sues, and I think a lot of people don't understand what the defamation suit is about. Very quickly, basically, he sues first UMG for what he's saying is botting Kendrick, making it so that Kendrick's song Not Like Us is more successful than it actually should have been, right? Making it more popular through bots and through like manipulation because they made it cheaper for it to get streams, which means more people would play it and stuff like that. They lifted some of the copyright so more people would do reviews of it and stuff. And then he sues for defamation, right? And the defamation is still, once again, this is a petition. This isn't like a full-on lawsuit for damages, but it's basically saying that UMG shouldn't have let Kendrick release Not Like Us because of what it said in there about Drake and them knowing that it was false, right? And this is my thing about that. It's weird that he that he sued for Not Like Us but not Meet the Grams, which was so much worse. If you don't know, there's a song called Meet the Grams where like Kendrick talked to his whole family, talked to his son. It was everyone. That's defamation. I felt like he was defamed, as in less famous right then. Like it's kind of wild, you know? But here's the thing. This is why some people are on Drake's side. And I'm not just talking about Drake stans, right? What he is alleging is that basically UMG, who he's been in this contract with, he got a $400 million contract from them in the earlier part of the 2020s, right? And he made the money back so fast, they start renegotiating again. And if you make $400 million back quickly, they probably gonna need to pay you $600, maybe $800, who knows? And that $400 million contract was the biggest contract in music history, right? And so now he's taking these people to task in a way and at a time that is scary for the music industry. Music industry is losing market share day by day. I'm a firm believer that no matter what music you like, I don't care what it is, I don't care what genre, you personally, you have not met your favorite artist yet.
That's true.
You haven't met your favorite artist at all. You have to keep listening. You have to keep looking. Your favorite artist is out there, and they're trying to get to you, but there's a machine in the way, right? And so the same machine that built Drake up is the machine that is genuinely in the way of artists who are trying to get to you to be your favorite. Because y'all already have this connection. You just haven't heard their music yet, but it's coming. Right? You just have to keep looking. And it's hard to look right now because of basically what Drake is alleging, that UMG, some of these big ones, they use payola, they use all these things to make sure that their artists are the only artists that you hear, so that your favorite is the best of what's been presented to you, right? And it's a tough thing because to call UMG out for it, for Kendrick, without acknowledging that it
Happening to you. Right.
Like because you were. Yeah, I mean, like that's a tough one. That's yeah, I mean, that would be like somebody at Goldman Sachs being like, they stealing all your money. I'm like, yeah, okay, all right, I believe you, but weren't you an executive? Yeah, but I'm suing because they stole from me too. They have no scruples at all. They'll steal from anybody. This is unacceptable. And so what Drake is basically alleging is that through the beef they had with Kendrick, UMG actually picked Kendrick and they built him up as much as possible to tear Drake down so that when he came back to the table and he was going to ask for more than his $400 million, they could look him in his eye and say, your stock has gone down. You're not what you used to be. You can't sell the same tickets. You don't get the same streams. How about we give you $350? And it's a lot. It's not the same. It's not the same at all. But it's something similar. I see a lot of what is happening with Drake right now, at least in regards with UMG. I'm talking specifically on this part of the suit, not the defamation, anything. I'm talking about the way that he's in a negotiation with UMG while something else is going on in his life, and it's hindering that negotiation, right? It reminds me of something that happened with Michael Jackson, because Michael Jackson got so powerful with Sony that he both found out and then accused publicly his lawyers and Sony of working together because he was becoming too powerful. He was owning too much. He was owning too much music. This man had the rights to the Beatles. Like, that's crazy. And so he said, Sony is trying to hurt me because they're not promoting my album in an era that didn't have streaming in that way. They botched my album just to try to get things from me that are mine, And it's similar to Drake in a way because both of them were the biggest artists at the time, biggest artists in the world, right? And they're both like, just hear me out. They were both. Listen. They're both black men that everyone called white, right? And I think that some of that, a part of that, is definitely present in people's feelings on the suit, right? Because there are some people that obviously think it's funny. I kind of think it's funny, you know what I mean? But then there are people who I've heard from and who I genuinely agree with that you can't get away from the fact. You cannot get away from the fact that these two individuals, even though their suits are not the same, even though their situations are not the same, these are two individuals who built themselves up to be the biggest in the world. And when it came time for a company to pay them, maybe they did whatever they had to do to not have to do that. Now, I don't believe, personally, the botting thing, because people genuinely were dancing to Not Like Us. People were genuinely losing their minds to Not Like Us. Like, I guess I believe the bot angle that Drake has if he thinks all black people were bots. Like, that's kind of what it would take. You know bots. You know how bots be. And look, when it comes to the bot thing, I'm not gonna lie to you. I've done a version of what Drake is doing in my head. just personally, because bots are all around us, and they're actually one of the reasons we fight so much. You think that everyone disagrees with you online. I'm not saying everyone agrees, but not everyone has the vitriol waiting for you, that it feels like it. We found that a lot of some of the nastiest things that get said online are bots from other countries just to stir people up, you know? And the bot has no investment in whether or not you actually get outraged, but it's just rage bait that's literally made to whether it's to keep you on an app or to distract you. Bots are everywhere, right? And I sometimes take that to my emotional advantage. You know? Like if I get into an argument with somebody online and they make a good point, I'm like, that's a damn bot right there. That's like I used to be on the apps back in the day, and you know I would sometimes meet somebody, chat with them a while, then go on a date and everything. Maybe the date wouldn't work out, but I didn't get their number, and so I messaged them again on the app, and they don't respond. Like they ghost me, and I'm like, that damn bot's something else. These bots are out here wilding, right? Like, you know. I remember I got to argue with my mom, and she was making some really good points, and she was really like letting me know that she was disappointed in my actions and everything, and really told me why. Broke it down, how she didn't raise me to act the way I had been acted and stuff like that. And I went ahead and typed in the text, because I saw the text bubbling and everything, and I knew more was coming. And I was like, look, I'm gonna have to cut this bot off. Like this. Don't have time for bots. It's a good tactic to take. Anything in your life not going the way you want, call it a bot. And I read and I talked to people as much as I could when the beef was going down. And I talked to Kendrick stans, I talked to Drake stans, I talked to people who did not listen to hip hop at all, who really didn't have a stake in the race at all. And there were people that were saying like, oh man, the only reason Kendrick stopped dropping diss tracks is because he was scared Drake was gonna hurt himself. Then I talked to people that were like, no, Drake dropped last, so the ball is in Kendrick's court, right? I heard delusional takes, I heard erratic takes, I heard takes that were just sort of blah, whatever. It's two grown men rhyming at each other, I don't care. Like, I heard it all. What I did not hear from Drake stans or hip-hop fans at all, the entire beef was, he should sue. That smells like a lawsuit. Never came out of anybody's mouth, right? And so understandably, there are people that are upset with Drake for suing, because it's like, wow, if you sue and then you win, what does that do to battle rap? What does that do to hip hop? Hip hop literally has artists talking about other artists being like, I'm going to sleep with your baby mama. Will they still do that if that person can sue for damages? There's something that is that's like linked, that can't be broken about hip hop and a sort of distance from power, right? Like if you're in the streets, or if you are street, you're not supposed to be in court unless they catch you. You're not supposed to. You see what I mean? It just feels a lot to me, everything that's happening right now between Drake, Kendrick, and UMG feels a lot like what happened between Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury in boxing, right? Because you look at Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder, two heavyweights. In case you've never watched boxing, I'll make it very simple for you. Two heavyweights in the world that were number one and number two, right? And we rarely get that in a lifetime, that the best in the world is fighting the second best in the world. And Tyson Fury is a world-class boxer, and Deontay Wilder hits really hard, okay? He's not quite as good of a boxer as Tyson, but he hits so hard, you think that he must knock the soul out of people, right? And so, sure enough, they fight. And in the first fight, Deontay Wilder knocks down Tyson Fury in like such devastating fashion that when he hit the ground, personally, so he got knocked out for a second with his eyes open, and I thought he was dead. I was sure I had seen something terrible. Like I was sitting there just looking around, even though I knew I was the only one in the room. And Tyson Fury had been through a lot. He had battled his way back from addiction, from some serious mental health issues. He talked about wanting to take his life and everything. And this man gets knocked down by Deontay Wilder in one of the later rounds. Even though he had been putting in good work the entire fight, this punch came out of nowhere and it knocks him down. And then out of nowhere, he blinks. And a part of me was like, he might still be dead. That's a reflex. I've heard of dead people blinking. That doesn't... And then he blinks again, and then he gets up, and he gets up all at once, just sort of rolls himself up and stands up, and the world is shocked. It's one of the biggest moments that year in sports. How did this dude get up? That feels impossible, right? This man sits up, stands up, and even Deontay Wilder is like, I thought you were dead. Deontay, like, he wasn't on camera in this moment from this angle, but he was probably looking at his fist like, I thought I killed him. That's okay. And they finished the fight, and the fight is a draw, and a lot of people thought that Tyson won the fight. And a lot of people said that it was a draw because boxing is rigged and it's corrupt and everything like that. I'm willing to believe both those things, but basically they did have to fight again because it was a draw. So neither one of them had lost their O yet, right? Second fight, Deontay Wilder shows up ready. And in his mind, he's like, I almost killed this dude the first time. So I'm gonna knock him out this time. It's gonna be simple. It's gonna be easy. I'm gonna get right to it, right? I actually gave him a little too much respect. I backed up a little bit. Go in, right? And Tyson Fury beats Deontay Wilder and beats him pretty bad. And I kind of thought he might beat him because I saw the documentary in the lead up, and there were people talking about like, oh, you know, Deontay's been knocking out his training partners when they're just holding the pads and stuff. And I'm like, that sound like he doesn't have aim. That's... You know what I mean? Like, I'm not a boxer, but if somebody holding the pad here and you knock that man out, you missed. So, you know, Deontay Wilder gets beat in that second fight. They throw in the towel and everything. And Deontay cannot accept that he lost the fight. He actually cannot accept it. He literally says, like, no, he must have cheated then. Because I almost killed this dude. This dude must have cheated. And he takes him on this long campaign. They try to investigate him, everything. They even pull out a clause where they have to do a third fight, even though Tyson wants to go and fight someone else now, and he goes on a whole campaign where he's like, no, this guy cheated. He must have cheated if he beat me because I had him. This dude, we thought he was dead. I had this dude, and then he just beats me like that. There had to have been something. Maybe he had brass knuckles in his glove. There were all of these theories going around, even in the boxing world and stuff. And that's what happened to Drake. Drake didn't believe Kendrick could beat him. He was like, no, too many people on my side. I'm too popular. I'm too big. I'm genuinely too big to fail. He thought, even though he was going into contract renegotiations with UMG, let me go ahead and have the sparring session with Kendrick. Number one, number two, going at it. It's going to get a ton of buzz. And then after I beat this dude, I'll be able to come to the table and be like, pay me my $800 million. Because I just took out supposedly the best rapper, right? And then it didn't happen that way. And so now he's saying, you must have cheated. There's no way, you know? And this is a genuine mistake. Because now, if this actually follows all the way through and goes from a petition into a lawsuit, Not Like Us is going to go into public court records. A stenographer is going to have to type out the lyrics to Not Like Us. I don't think he thought it through. Do you know what I mean? Because, and this, look, maybe this is me being a hater. This is me making some assumptions. I'm just throwing it out there. This is what I think. I think genuinely that Drake's lawyer is definitely white. And so now I'm worried for Drake's lawyer that he's going to be in a predicament where he has to defend his client from the and then read out the lyrics to Not Like Us. Now look, rap lyrics in court is nothing new. Rap lyrics get used to, send rappers to jail. It gets used against them. In all these different ways. It's nothing new. But whenever you're in court and you got to read the lyrics, usually court likes to still keep things proper. So they'll probably do some replacements. You know what I mean? Like, I think when Drake's lawyer gets to the end where he's going to have to be creative. He's going to have a different word in there. Probably something like, gentlemen. He's going to be standing there having to read the lyrics to make his point. He's going to be standing in front of maybe a jury. Who knows, right? He's standing there. Okay. They tell me Chubb's the only one that get your hand-me-downs. Party at the party playing with his nose now. And Baca got a weird case. Why is he around? Certified lover boy. Certified. Your Honor. Wop, 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 wop. Dot, F them up. Wop, 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 wop. I'm gonna do my stuff. Why you trolling like a female dog? Ain't you tired? Trying to strike a chord. And that's a lot of O's. And it's probably I'll try. A. Minor. I'm sorry, I'll do one quick correction here. They're missing apostrophe R-E here. They're not like us. They're not like us. They're not, actually, I'll just take away the contract. They are not like us. They are not like us. They are not like us. No. It's brutal. It's absolutely brutal, And I'm torn because there's things in this suit that if it goes through, if they can prove that UMG and even some of the other big labels are still using payola, maybe they have to do such a big payout that they make it not worth it to do it again. That's a genuine hope that I have. Or maybe the government can look at these labels, look how much power they have, and it's unlikely, but break them up a bit. Right? They're already losing market share with us, the people. They already don't have the power that they used to have, right? No matter how much they push, no matter how much they repeat, sometimes it just doesn't work. Because we know they're doing it, by the way. We already know they're doing it because we know when we look at charts and they're like, this is the top artist. And we're like, who? I've never heard of this person at all. Do you, I guess. You know? So if the structure came tumbling down, that would help the little guy, the new artist. The artist has been trying this whole time to break through. Reminds me of the story of Samson, right? Make it very short. Samson was very strong, loses his strength, and then becomes enslaved by the Philistines. And then while he's between two pillars, he begs God, give me my strength back. Give me my strength back so I can take revenge on the Philistines. And God gives him his strength back just for that little bit of time, just for that time that it took to push the pillars, crack them, break it down, and bring it down on him and the Philistines. And I think that's what could be happening here. You know, because I don't know how Drake moves on from this at all, whether he wins or he loses. But I know that he might be able to bring the structure down with him, on him, right? And there is a genuine part of me that's split because I don't think that the bots thing happened in that way. I'm sure that generally it happens with every big artist. I will say that. I think no matter who you are, there's probably bots pushing, pulling, whatever. I don't think it's enough to make someone number one, but I do think that it must just happen, right? But the part that I can't get over is that, like, as much as I don't like Drake, that's a black man trying to get paid what he's worth. You know, he made that money back for them. They should pay him. They do owe him. And I don't think they used Kendrick. I think Kendrick is not only an incredible artist, but he was at the right place at the right time. I think if this beef had happened in any other time, maybe it wouldn't have gone the way that it went. I think Kendrick is smart with his timing. He's obviously brilliant with his music. And I think that he knew this is it, right? You speak on me, I speak on you. But even Kendrick said in Euphoria, still love when you see success, right? His rival, this person he can't stand. So even Kendrick, to some degree, probably thinks, I hate you. Don't get me wrong. If you fail right now, that'd be hilarious. Like, I hate you. But also, you made them that money. You know? Because there's no real proof, which I think actually hurts Drake's case. There's no real proof that he is not going to make a comeback because he's still one of the number one trending artists without releasing an album this year, even as he lost all that stock. And the stock he can get back quickly. I'll tell you how. I don't know if he'll be able to do it, but all he has to do is be like, y'all, look, y'all, it could be an Instagram story. He loves that. Instagram story where he comes to us, the people, and he just says, look, y'all, all right, maybe this isn't the way. He got me. All right, I got God. But you know what? I got something for you, my fans. I have new music coming, and I hope you love it. That's it. Let it go. You know what I mean? You got God. This stuff is way weirder. You're clearly spinning out. If anything, it makes me more afraid of Kendrick because you gotta remember first lines of Euphoria. Superpowers getting neutralized. Famous actor once knew was looking paranoid. Now he's spiraling. Who lets you sue as a rapper? You gotta be spiraling to do it. That's like being a bona fide gangster and getting shot and then being like, police! You know? I don't know. I think that, you know, Kendrick caused a full release of the culture, of the movement. People are excited, revitalizing hip hop. There's a chance that with this suit, if he wins, if he follows it all the way through and he wins, that Drake could loose the people from the industry in a small way. And there's a chance that you could get to meet your favorite artist. You know? I guess I'll just end it most appropriately with a line from J. Cole. I love to see a black man get paid. I love Christmas time. It's one of my favorite seasons because I love the gift giving. You know, because I'm not good at giving gifts. I'm not. Like, I put a lot of thought into the gift. I think about the person. I think about the gift. I think mostly about what I can afford. And then I get them the gift, and there's nothing more disappointing than their face when they open my gift. Like, it's like, because these are people I love that love me, so they fighting to look at least mildly enthused. Like, the battle they're having in their head to not ask me what I was thinking. You can see the wheels turning where they're like, I don't want to be rude, but now I'm genuinely curious. What was on his mind when he bought this? What would make him think I would like this, right? Like, I remember one time I bought my friend, I bought them like a really nice, and it was expensive. It was very nice, and it was polished, but it was like a polished figurine of an Easter egg. And then they opened it, and they were like, oh. Oh is never good, by the way. Do you know what I mean? Like, even if you propose and you hear, oh, it's about to be no. Like, it's very close. It's coming up. And so I gave them the gift, and they were like, oh. And then I felt like I needed to fill the space because they said, oh, and they didn't say anything else. But I was like, clearly I need to let them know why this is a brilliant gift. And so I was like, because you love Easter. And they were like, oh. And I hadn't been hit with 2 O's in a while. That second O let me know that maybe this is just bad. Maybe they weren't confused. Maybe they've decided they hate this gift. And so I was like, yeah, because you love Easter. That's your favorite holiday. I know it's Christmas, but it's still something to do with Easter now. Like, I got you something rather than waiting to give this to you on Easter. I got you a little bit of Easter in winter. And they were like, you could have got like a crucifix or something. And I was like, wow. That did not occur to me. I forgot you love Easter because you love the Lord. I just thought holiday egg. Let's make it happen. And so I don't always get the best gifts, which is, fair enough, which is why I love going to other people's Christmases. Like when I was in college, I would get invited to spend the holiday if I didn't go home to visit somebody else and spend Christmas with them or something. And it was nice because I got to watch other people be bad at giving gifts. And it's just nice to not feel alone, I went and had Christmas with my buddy one time, and family was all around, exchanging gifts and stuff. And everybody was bad at giving gifts. It was a holiday miracle. Dad got the mom some gifts, and she opens it, and she lifts it and shakes it a little bit. Oh, it's heavy. It's heavy. Unwraps it, and he got her weights. And she was like, why'd you get me? And in my head, I'm like, go ahead, answer. Please answer. Why'd you get her the weights? Why'd you get them, Stephen? What are the weights for? And you can see the flicker in his eyes where he was like, They were on sale? it was fair enough because then he opened her gifts and she got him. Look, you think the weights are bad? This woman bought this man 50 Shades of Grey. If you don't know what 50 Shades of Grey is, it's a book, but but the things you think of when you read the book, the pictures it puts in your head are the fantasy. You go to places, you know. And so the idea that she would get this man 50 Shades of Grey, I don't even know what the attack is. I don't even know if she's like, you need to read anything, read more, I don't care what it is, or if it's like, just do the book to me. Like, when is this man supposed to read 50 Shades of Grey at work? Is he just supposed to be in the break room hitting up that 50 Shades of Grey? This man drives a truck. You don't think anybody's gonna ask him? Hey, Stevie, what you reading? Oh no, it's just this book that, you know, my wife got me. This is a rich guy that's like getting involved with this young lady, and you know, I can't tell. She's like, you should read more or do that to me, or I'm done with it. Like, she had also read 50 Shades of Grey, so I'm like, she just didn't get him anything. And then it was my buddy's turn, and you know, I feel like it takes a long time for a child to be good at giving their parent a gift. The first few gifts you give your parents are from other adults. That's just it. It's just like, hey, this beautiful diamond bracelet is from you and me. We're going to give it to your mom together. And then you stand there all proud like, yeah, the diamond bracelet is also from me. You know, with all my 5-year-old disposable income. Do you love it? And then your mom, because your mom loves you, goes, oh, what a beautiful, oh my God. Hugs you all tight and everything, and you feel all proud. You didn't have to do anything. You didn't have to do anything. You didn't have to think of anything. Sometimes you get somebody, when you're little enough, you can get anybody anything, and they at least pretend to love it. When you're like 5, you could draw them a picture. I did that. There was a Christmas where I drew a bunch of people pictures. I can't draw at all. I gave them less than nothing. I wasted their time. I genuinely wasted their time because I wrapped the picture that I drew, and so they had to open it like it was about to be something. And the worst part is that I was like, oh, let me not let it get crinkled up or anything, so I had it in like an envelope with the wrapping paper around it. They probably thought it was going to be a check, anything actually valuable. It was too much work. There was a little bow on it. They had to move the bow. They had to unwrap it. They had to not crinkle it. They had to open up this envelope just to get a picture of them that looked offensive. When I think back to how I drew, there's no way I drew a good-looking person. I drew as best as I could put my hand to the page, and it wasn't good. Everybody's head was out of proportion. But I was little, so they pretended to love it. They were like, oh. And I think some of them did love it. Some of them probably did love it because they loved me. And they were like, oh, this person that used to not even exist, that's so little, so cute, love them so much, they did their best. And that's very sweet, right? But then you get older. And then it's like even more obvious you didn't get the gift. You know? It's like, oh, you know, maybe your dad comes up to you, hey, these earrings, they're from me and from you, okay? Because you were with me when I bought them, and you helped me pick them, and then tells your mom, earrings are for us. Earrings are from you? Yeah, they're from me too. With all my 9-year-old disposable income. And I was the one that pointed, so also from me. And then around like 12, 13, it's time to get a gift. Like a genuine, like something. Put in some effort, right? You can't lean in on dad's gift anymore. And now you're on your own, and this is where I really failed. This is where I fell apart, because I was like, okay, what can I afford? I could probably get her some candy. What does she like? All right, she already has a Bible. This is going to be tough, you know? And gift giving is such a skill. Gift giving is its own gift, because it means you were like listening for the right moment. You understand a person so well. Sometimes you get a gift that's so bad that people are like, oh, you don't know me at all. Or you got me this gift because you want to show me how little you care about me. You really want to step out of just saying I hate you with words and do it with surprise. Do it with a little mystery to it. Maybe wrap it up, put a bow on it, box it up. You know? And so, you know, they opened my buddy's gifts to them, his parents. Right? And he got his dad a calendar for the year we were in. That's... Almost all of the calendar had happened. And then he was like, son, there's only a little bit of the year left. You got me a planner for 6 days. And he was like, nah, Dad. All you gotta do is cross out the last number and it'll be a calendar for next year. And he was like, why didn't you buy a calendar for next year? And he was like, they ran out. So I got one for this year. There were plenty of those. And he's like, son, that won't work because the days also change. It won't just work to put, because it'll be a different day of the week when it's that date. Next year is a leap year. Oh, my bad. Okay. I can return it. And then my buddy got his mom a copy of 50 Shades of Grey. And it's like, I was like, do you not know what the book is? In what world? One of the worst gifts I've ever seen somebody give was a cat. This dude got his girlfriend a cat, and it would normally be adorable, right? Except the cat was fully grown and had already decided it hated people. I don't know where he got this cat from. But this cat, first of all, the cat was barely a surprise. They knew it was a cat as soon as he tried to give the cat, because what he did was he tried to put the cat, so you know the crate that you put a cat in? He had the crate, but he had wrapped it, and he had put the little, like, slits for, you know, the front for air in the thing. But as he's handing her this thing that's way too heavy, he's handing it like this, and inside she can hear, like it's... The cat isn't meowing. The cat is screaming. It's guttural. It's coming from the back of the throat. And then she rips the wrapping paper out of the way. And the cat is like, and then she's like, oh, you got me a kitten, right? As soon as she opens the front, The cat, this cat was amazing, by the way, because it both had agility, but also the most mass I've seen on the cat. This is the fattest cat I've ever seen, but the way that it flew out of the crate past her and was just running in the house, just like. And he's like, oh, you got me a cat, oh my gosh. And then she went to try to pick the cat up, and the cat, okay. For a little while, I didn't believe it was a cat. For a little while, I thought it was either like an actual like bobcat from the wild or a demon. Because the way that she went to pick it up and then it stood up and was like... It did, like, it was ready to put his paws on her. Like, it was... this cat, like, it couldn't... I'm not saying it boxed, but I'm just saying, like, the way it would, like, almost stand... It would get really high, and then it would let that first one come up. And this cat hated everyone and everything. And I was like, did you get the cat from, like, a shelter, or where'd you get the cat? And he was like, okay, look. Which is never a good pet origin story. He's like, okay, look, the cat crawled up into the hood of my car. It was cold, it wanted to be warm, and so it crawled up. And then when I was pulling the cat out, it just kept coming out. There was so much cat, because it's the biggest cat any of us have ever seen. I was like, it looked like a lion. Like, you can't just give someone a pet like that. Do you know what I mean? A plant, I feel bad enough letting it die. You can't let an animal die. You can't just be like, oh, well, I didn't even mean this one. It shouldn't even be on me because it was a gift. That sounds so crazy, but it's true. It's like you've just given this person duties now. And not a lot of duties. The cat was very fat, and it was clearly a street cat, so it knows how to survive. This cat. I don't know if y'all saw, but a lot of the Amazon workers went on strike today. Like a bunch of them went on strike, yeah. Which I think is phenomenal, not just for workers' rights, but because I low-key have not got anybody anything yet. And like that's... when I was like, hey, yeah, give them whatever they want, all right? They should stay out there till January 2nd or something. Genuinely, I was like, oh man, okay, and then that means that things won't get delivered on. We serve a mighty God. We serve. You know? But yeah, the Amazon workers are striking. It's one of the biggest strikes against Amazon ever. I think it is the biggest ever against Amazon. It's in different places and everything. And it's coming at a time where Amazon needs them desperately. Rest of the year, you could kind of, shirk them off. But this is Amazon promised us Christmas. I hate to burst your bubble in case you still believe, but there is no Santa. Santa is whoever is driving that Amazon truck. And Amazon made a promise. They made a promise through Prime. They made a promise through pre-orders. And, why their reputation stakes on delivering on that promise. And so if the workers strike and they can't get things to the people, maybe the people are like, wow, I put a lot of stake in you, Amazon. Maybe I'm just going to go to Target next time. But Amazon, they claim not to have it. They claim that they don't have the money. If it's laughable to you, then imagine if you work at Amazon. And you just looking around like, oh, so y'all don't have it. The boss went to space. Tell me what you don't have again. oh, we don't have it. We're not able. We need too many people working at the same time at a pace that's unrealistic because we tried to replace you with robots, but then, the robots killed themselves. Dude, everybody forgets about that. Everybody forgets that when they've tried AI, they've tried to replace the workers in their faces. And the AI, the robot, whatever it is like, you know what? I think I'm just gonna break forever. The robot will do everything except hit itself in the head. That's wild. That's so crazy that you would just tell us you don't even have. That's one of the main things I can't stand about a lot of big companies. And don't get me wrong, right? In the future, you may even see me do like a partnership with a brand that I like. I'm not saying business in and of itself is evil. I'm not saying big business in and of itself has to be evil. I'm just saying the way that some of the most profitable companies in the world have worked is evil, right? And so my thing, especially with Amazon, is that there's always, for you, the customer, there's always surge pricing. There's never, across any company that I know of, outside of overtime, surge pay. That's all you need. If you had just been like, listen, for 3 months, working at Amazon is gonna be the most profitable. It's gonna be the most profitable thing an employee can do. We're gonna pay you 2x, 3x, whatever it takes. Because we also know how much money they made because they tell us. Why would you do that? Why would you go on the news, by the way, to be like, Amazon made a record-breaking whatever billion today on Prime Day, and then tell the people that work there, y'all, we ain't got it. The boss needs to go to space again. No, it's insane. Because it wouldn't do, I don't know, it wouldn't do what companies claim it would do, to pay more, if nothing else, during the seasons that you're asking them to work more. And we can't even begin to fathom the conditions all around that are like in an Amazon warehouse. We hear about them from time to time. People get fired or they get hurt or they quit, and then they tell us. And it never gets like fully enveloped all together. One, because there's not enough time. Too many people have been screwed over. It's like, we all know somebody who dated somebody that was like trash, right? Like they dated a bad person. After like the third testimony of dating this person, you're like, I don't even need to hear anymore. This person is undateable. They shouldn't be out. You know, and that's what it should be like with Amazon, but it's like the stories don't get to enough people, and there are people that are like, oh, I got docked pay for going to the bathroom. What they want me to do, you know? Or I got hurt at the warehouse because everybody's trying to meet these like specific time-stamped goals, and if they don't meet them, they might get fired, and this is the job that they have. This is how they're going to pay their rent for the time being to make ends meet. So they're pushing the cart extra fast, not looking where they're going. They run over somebody's foot. They drop a box on somebody's head, and then there's a whole system in place. Instead of making a system to make it safer, instead of making a system to pay people more, or instead of making a system that just functions better, there's a whole system in place for when things go wrong. So that way, they don't have to pay people out, or they don't have to. You would rather hire a lawyer to come up with the type of NDA that when someone dies at work, their family can't sue, than to just do things the right way, you know? Because we've decided that it's like more profitable to be a bastard. I mean, but like, I guess my thing is this: at a certain point, the fact that it like no money is enough, right? The fact that there's no number, you can't get higher than space. Do you know what I mean? The man has been to space. There's nowhere else to go because he's not going to heaven. there's no more. You have enough money. I'm not even saying that as someone, look, I'll be honest with you. I'll be very honest with you right now. I would like to, in my lifetime, make a lot of money. I have no gripe with people who have a lot of money. It's only the way in which they make that money. That's all that ever bothers me when it does bother me. I usually don't care how much money anybody has. We're all on a different path. Some people are born with money. You can't help that. Some people make a lot of money through everyone wanting to buy their product. You can't help that. I'm not jealous of anybody. I want everybody to do well. It's just, I look at the state of things, right? And there's no perfect system. I'm not saying I have the whole answer. The answer is you're going to have to make less money. But I don't have an answer that they would like or implement, you know? I guess my thing is this. If we want to help the workers as much as possible, bodies get put on the line when they try to meet these goals, right? It's one of the things that they're protesting, one of the things that they're striking against is that they have to put their bodies on the line to get things to us, the consumer, right? When we order. Because for us, it's just a click. For them, it's their body, it's their livelihood, it's their life sometimes. And I think the only way to fix this, at least temporarily, is to bring back 2013 Black Friday. I think rather than putting it all on them, we got to get out in the streets and we got to start beating the ever-living shit out of each other for the products that we want that are supposedly on sale, right? Black Friday is a shell of itself, and it is unacceptable. Most of it happens online, which is disgusting, right? We need to get these prices down, and actually down. I don't mean the thing that Walmart does sometimes where it's the same price and they put it back the next day and they made you think it was lower because of the day. I'm talking about actually marketably lower, right? And then we have to start training in August. Okay? We need to start practicing, maybe even with family. Bring the family. Let the family come early, all right? Throw some bows, right? Make sure that grandma's shuffle is good when she's trying to get through people. Make sure that the youngest brother can really handle that offensive line that you're going to need to create to get to the register, all right? Make sure his tackle is good. And we need to get back in stores the way that it used to be. One of the problems is Amazon's too powerful. They wouldn't be too powerful if we started shopping again at the stores that we shopped at before Amazon, right? One of the other things is that, that dopamine hit that you get when you buy the thing and then the thing comes the next day. I'm not saying you don't deserve your dopamine hits. I'm just saying it's a much stronger dopamine hit to knock the hell out of somebody for the TV that you want. This is America. You got to earn your dopamine. Okay? The amount of strangers that we used to have, America used to come together to be divided for one day. Used to wrap that wrist around the throat of a neighbor. And you used to sink that choke in tight. A choke that would make John Jones proud. A choke that would mean that your family got to play the board game Sorry that night. Because you went in and you choked until you saw a little bit of blue. Just a touch. Just so you knew they wouldn't fight anymore. And then you let them go. And you didn't drop them. You're not a monster. You placed them down gently. It was the next person running up that stepped on their chest. It is the American way to build community through violence. Okay? We used to do it. We used to get in there. We used to make it messy. You know? You would have you'd have a couple scrapes you didn't know where they came from. You know what I mean? You'd have a whole cut on your arm and you'd be like, huh, makes sense, but I don't know when it happened. No. But I don't know. I'm bad at giving gifts, but I hope that everyone striking for Amazon gets what they want for Christmas. Genuinely, I do. Like, I can tell I'm bad at giving gifts because all I can offer is jokes. It's funny how sometimes people like enter your life without you ever meeting them. Like you don't get to know them, but you hear stories about this person through the people that you know or a friend of a friend, but then they just keep coming up and you feel like they're in your life, even though you've never met them. You wouldn't know them on the street if you saw them, right? There was a guy like that for me named Marty. I never met Marty. Wouldn't have been able to track him down if you gave me a 23andMe and a genealogy test or something like that. I knew Marty through stories because Marty had an interesting life. This dude spent a bunch of time in France. He was American born, lived in France for a long time, learned French super fluently, and apparently he told one of his friends, this is how I heard the story, that he dreamed in French. Like he spoke English, obviously, and he lived in the States again, but his dreams would just be full of people speaking French at different points and stuff. And it came up because here in the US, he met someone and they fell in love, but she was French. So went all the way to France, didn't meet anybody. Came back here, met a French woman, right? And there was a day where Marty, he basically, in a nutshell, forgot his girlfriend's birthday. It was their first year together, so we're still like been dating some months, but hanging out all the time and everything. I said my birthday. You're supposed to remember. That's part of the relationship quiz. And it kept seeming like maybe there was a surprise waiting or he was pretending to have forgotten or something. And then he went and took a nap. Yeah, not only did you forget my birthday, you napping in my face. And then I guess when she realized that he genuinely did forget, she woke him up. And she woke him up mad. And when she was mad, she'd go straight to French, right? Because she'd be so mad she wasn't putting it in English for him. And so he woke up to his girlfriend yelling at him in French. So he thought he was still dreaming. So wakes him up. Can't believe you forget my birthday. What's wrong with you? Are you out of your mind? You over here playing in my face all day? All in French. I'm paraphrasing. And then he was squinting, real tired, and was looking up at her and just wonders, I guess, to himself, am I having a dream right now? And so he casually, while she's yelling at him, puts his finger in her mouth. I don't know if you ever had somebody forget your birthday before, but you definitely have not had them put their finger in your mouth as you were letting them have it. And there was felt like dozen funny stories like that about Marty. Marty was an interesting dude, and he just moved in different circles than me. Never met Marty or anything. But Marty got older, got married, had some kids and stuff, and then Marty got sick, and Marty had cancer. And there were some treatments that they could try, but it wasn't looking good, and his insurance wasn't going to cover it, and he couldn't do it out of pocket, and Marty passed away. And it's crazy because one of the other things about Marty that people
talked about was how he was like a good boss. It's sometimes hard to be a good boss because people don't like being bossed around. You know, like people don't enjoy someone telling them what to do, but somebody got to tell you what to do if we all work here. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can't just show up to work and be like, you figure out whatever you feel like. Nothing would get done. Like, there do need to be bosses sometimes in certain situations. It's just how you are a boss, you know? Like, there are certain managers that I've had in my life that, honestly, I had the easy job, and they still made it hell, because they were hell to be around, you know? There's nothing like having an easy job that you know is an easy job. I could do this in my sleep, but I gotta do it next to a jerk. That's the worst, you know? You know those people, got time to lean, got time to clean. And this is another thing I have to accept about bosses, I have to accept about managers. There are some jobs where genuinely, it's in the handbook, it's like part of the job. The job makes you kind of come off like, or maybe turn into a bastard. Do you know what I mean? Because there are policy handbooks of companies where if you got time to lean, you got time to clean is in the book. They just quoting. So there are some jobs where you got to be a monster to do them. And there's some jobs that make you a monster, you know? I was thinking about that when the shooting in New York happened. I know. Because for me, in case you didn't know, in case you somehow have not been on Earth, there was a shooting in New York. Basically, this dude walked up behind CEO of United Healthcare, and he shot him several times, and then he went off, right? But apparently he had been camped out there waiting. That dude walks past him. He goes, pop, 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 pop. And then he jumps on, apparently, a city bike, which is not advisable. And then he heads over to Central Park and disappeared into the night/day, because it was day. It was broad daylight, too. That's also what felt so insane about it. It happened during the day. You gotta understand, there's New York day things and New York night things. We usually keep the shootings after dark. And when it happened, it shook everything up. Everyone was obsessed. The news was obsessed. The news was obsessed when it happened. The news was like, finally, we have something to talk about that's not Trump. Oh, wow. What a day. So the news talked about it all day. The news talked about it nonstop. The news would even have people on to discuss it who clearly were just finding stuff out in the moment with us on the news. They would bring the expert on and then play the clip. And then the expert would watch the clip and be like, damn, it's like you were supposed to know, sir. That's why you're on the news. The news was absolutely obsessed, right? The news even did a thing that I've never seen before that I very much resented, because I'm just gonna be honest with you. This entire time, I'm just gonna be telling you how I feel. I'm not gonna tell you how to feel. I'm not gonna judge how anyone feels. I'm just talking about myself, right? When I saw it happen, when I saw that video footage that they played, when I saw that dude walk up and pull out a gun and point it at that CEO, I thought to myself, thank God those are white hands. Oh. When I saw those lily white hands, when I saw those pearly white hands I thought to myself, what a white sight. What a beautiful white thing to happen that does not have anything to do with me, that should not blow back on me at all. What a white moment in America. And then in their obsession, continually, over and over again, describing what happened, going over what happened, the news did something. CBS this morning showed the clip. They showed this man walk up, pull out the gun, and they said on CBS in the morning, a light-skinned man. No. No, light skin. When has the news ever said light skin? What's next, CBS? Red bone? Light skin. I was horrified. No, you know, if it had been a black person, they would say black, because they love saying black. Anytime a black person does something, the news is like, this black. This black was last seen at the scene of the crime. You know this black. If you've seen this particular black, call this number so you can report him for his blackety-black crime. Guys, light skin. The news was obsessed with it, top to bottom. You could not watch anything else. I'm sure stuff was happening everywhere in the world, but you wouldn't know it. It just kept circling this one block in Manhattan, and people were obsessed with it. Us were obsessed with it. It's all I heard people talking about. People who I know don't watch the news, people who I know don't really care about current events. Everybody was talking about it. Everybody was debating it on social, online. Everyone was talking about it. People were so obsessed that the backpack that the shooter was wearing sold out. Because in America, everything is an ad, including murder. People were so obsessed. You know, like those Timothy Chalamet lookalike contests they've been having in New York? A bunch of white people got together, because they knew he was white. A bunch of white people got together in the park and all dressed like the shooter and had a shooter lookalike contest. And it's been done in comedy before. I understand. It's a joke that's well worn. White people be like this. Black people be like this. But can I just say, as a black person, we have never, as black people, watched the news, seen the suspect, and then went outside specifically dressed as the suspect. We've never watched the morning, the 8 o'clock, the 10 o'clock, the midnight news and been like, oh, that's a good fit right there. Let me make sure I got it right. A red bandana. Okay, I need a red one. All right. That's just how you can tell being white is a different experience, because these white people racially profiled themselves for fun. That's just having a time. So the news was obsessed, and people were obsessed, and CEOs were obsessed. CEOs were like, what? What happened? Oh my God. Oh my God, are you serious? And they didn't know each other? Kids, he just did that in broad daylight to one of us? CEOs started making moves, man. CEOs of all the healthcare companies started taking down all of their profiles. All of their LinkedIns were just back to factory settings. And look, I need to be clear about something. I mean, you're gonna glean this off of me the entire time. I don't want anybody to die, right? I don't celebrate death in any way, right? But I will say, if you feel in the wake of this thing happening, like you have to scrub all mention of you, all knowledge of your existence off of the internet, then maybe, just maybe, take a look at how you do business, take a look at the person. Do you know what I mean? Because I've seen this thing before in a different way. Okay, so I had a buddy who, I went to his apartment for the first time, and this dude, I understand taking precautions, because that's what they will say they were doing. They were like, we don't know the motive, we don't know why this person would do this thing, we don't know who they are, we don't know if they're gonna come for one of us, so we try to protect ourselves, you know, just take everything off. And that's what this guy was doing. I went to his house for the first time, went to his place, and he had 6 locks on his door. At 6 locks, something needs to change. At 6 locks, you either need to move or change your ways, all right? Because this dude had 6 locks. He was dealing a little bit of drugs and stuff, but I was like, 6 is, come on. What are you doing? It takes you a minute and a half to open the door. I can hear it. You hear chains, you hear all stuff. You know? I was like, isn't this worse for you? You really worried somebody coming to get you? You got 6 locks. You sure you won't get killed trying to get in? But that happened, and the news was having trouble thinking of a motive. The news, they were like, why? Why would anyone? Why? Who could it be? You know? Police were having trouble coming up with a motive when they went on the news. They were like, we have no idea why this individual would do something like this. CEOs could not think of a motive. They were like, but we're us. I thought everybody loved us. Everybody wants to be us. Why would somebody come after us, right? You see it on the news. And this is also, I'm not gonna lie, this is how you can tell the news is owned by billionaires. Because the news was like this devastating, terrifying, harrowing attack in New York. And I'm not saying, look, a murder did take place. I'm not saying that it couldn't have been listed as those things. I'm just saying you're the news. Like, you are the mainstream media. You play horrific stuff all the time. You're the same news that when those pages were going off on those people in the Middle East exploding, you were like, check this out. Isn't that wild? The moment 1,000 pages went off and killed a bunch of people. You know what I mean? That same news is like, we still don't know who or why or what or how. No, police couldn't think of a motive. CEOs couldn't think of a motive. CEOs of other healthcare companies couldn't seem to think of a motive. This thing happened the same week as one of the main insurance providers was saying out loud with their full chest, "We gonna stop doing anesthesia if you take too long. You better." Which, by the way, is not up to the patient. That's also one of the most insane things about that new policy they were gonna try out. I've never had to administer anesthesia to myself. That's just heroin. Yeah, if your surgery takes too long, it's not like they're there, by the way. It's not like they have to wait on you in the waiting room or something. If your surgery takes too long, we're gonna charge extra to put you back under. If your surgery takes too long, we might not cover more anesthesia. What? In what world did we think you could pay for health insurance and then you wake up during, who knows, whatever serious surgery you're having, and then your doctor has to be like, "Hey, do you have like $650? Because if not, I know you're a little groggy, but can you understand me right now? I know you're literally open, but can you understand what I'm saying? If you don't have it, that's okay. I got a stick. We can Civil War this right now." The stick is $20 though, so it's... Couldn't think of a motive, you know? And the CEOs as well, when you look at this guy, you look at this dude, I don't think anyone was ready. I don't think the news was ready. I don't think the police were ready. I don't think the rich were ready for how, like, on the shooter's side the public was. Do you know what I mean? Like, how absolutely, unequivocally on his side. Immediate. I didn't know it had happened and there were already jokes. Do you know what I mean? Immediately. You know? The people, I'm not gonna say as a whole, because I'm not gonna speak for everybody, but for the most part, were on the shooter's side. They don't know the motive. They don't know why he did this thing, but they were glad that it happened. And so out of it, you get these CEOs, you get these rich people going on the news and really campaigning, being like, look, the CEO, this man was a father, this man was a husband, this man, and they really appealed to the humanity of this CEO. And there were people who heard that appeal, and they said, yeah, no, I know he was a person, so was my cousin. So was my brother, so was my sister, so was my friend. You know what I mean? This man had children. He leaves children behind. This is a senseless death. It did not have to happen. And it's like, yeah, no, I know about I know about avoidable deaths. You know? I'm a customer. I know people who have died these avoidable deaths because it took too long to get their medicine, took too long to get the treatment. Maybe it wasn't covered. Maybe they're on the phone forever. This man was a father. He was a husband. Okay, so was Marty. You know what I mean? And I think the thing that people are wrestling with, the thing that we're all trying to contend with in how we feel about this thing, because people want to feel like good people. We know that murder is wrong. We know that death is a tragedy, right? Because to me, personally, when I look at any death, when I look at any killing in that way, I personally look at it as a loss and a tragedy, because as long as someone is alive, there's potential. There's potential to turn things around. There's potential to change. And then if you lose that potential, then your story gets cut short and maybe things would have turned around. I'm not saying that they would have, but the thing that we're all wrestling with is that a murder did happen. Someone killed someone in cold blood. They just didn't kill an innocent man. Do you know what I mean? That's also what feels so conflicting about it. Like, a killer killed a killer. This dude was the CEO. A lot of people died under his watch, through his policy, through what United Health does. You know? There are a lot of people that are gone, and when you can see an act happen in real time, it's very easy to look at it, be shocked by it, and call it murder. When you can spread all of the culpability, when you can spread all of the actions across thousands of individuals and a whole system, now somehow it's nobody's fault. You know? And like, you look at someone like Brian Thompson, that CEO, that dude was, to himself probably, I'm assuming, just good at his job. It's his job to make the company money. I don't know what CEO, outside of maybe like a gun manufacturer, wakes up and wants people to die. Like, I don't know. I don't know what CEO wakes up. These CEOs, they work 80-hour weeks and they don't see their families and everything, but they do it because of their obsession to succeed and to build up the company, to make the company successful, to give back to the shareholders, all the reasons they come up with. And if some people die along the way, then that sort of is what it is, right? But this dude, make no mistake, he was a killer. He was such a good killer that the company was like, damn, Brian. Damn, you cold-blooded. We need to make you CEO. Wow, you don't care. You don't care at all. Women, kids, you get them all. Wow, Brian. He got promoted the way a gang member becomes a leader, you know? You're the coldest one out here. You know? It's tough. It's really tough. It's hard. It's also hard because when you talk about it, or whenever you're feeling what you're feeling, you don't want to. We're all human, but you don't want to lose your humanity. You know, like you don't want to get so spiteful that you lose some of yourself. You know, and so this dude, they're looking for him, and it's hard because the people are on his side. There's literally people dressing up as him, right? And I'm not gonna lie, I feel like some of the cops were even on his side, because the cops were on a manhunt for him in Central Park, and they weren't looking hard. Dude, they weren't. Like, did you, if you saw the news and you saw them in Central Park, I've never seen a more lackadaisical hunt in my life. There were cops in Central Park. This is being shot. They see the camera and they know what's going on the news, and they were still like, he ain't in this bush. Where else is there to look? No. Oh. It's hard, you know? And it's also difficult because you want to have empathy for everybody if possible. You want to see every angle if possible. But this one is tough in a way because of what Brian was. Just a representative, by the way. That dude just is one of the dudes. Nothing changed. He's one of the dudes. And he can be one of the dudes because the system's already there. So it's not as if doing anything to him does anything to the whole, right? I mean, I will say, I do think they rolled back that anesthesia thing. That did happen. Maybe they'll go through with it later, but for the time being, it seemed like they were like, ooh, okay. You know? But he's allowed to be where he is, how he is, because of the system at play. A system, by the way, who didn't care about Brian either. Let's be honest about that. You know? Because that man was headed to a meeting when he was murdered. And investors still had the meeting. That's how it works. They were getting notifications on their phone that Brian was outside, and they were like, ugh, so the minutes. How's next quarter looking? I mean, that's why it's not worth it. You know? When you put like that much profit over the person, you are also lost in that thing, right? And I think that's a harrowing thing. I think for CEOs, that was like a terrifying moment, because it was the first time that they saw that we see them the way they see us. Do you know what I mean? That's gotta be scary. Because for them, make no mistake, for them, we're not clients, we're not consumers, we're not customers, we're not even users. None of the names that they put in their reports, none of the things that they say to their shareholders, we're numbers, we're an account number, we're this thing. Which is why when we go away, when we disappear, when we die, it doesn't really mean anything to them, because they never really saw us. And then the response to this shooter, this like overwhelming positive response on social. I'm not saying it was everybody, but a lot of people. It was kind of this wake up call that we don't see them as people either, which is. That's scary. That's a scary place to be in, you know? Because when you would see it on the news and the news described it, let's not mince words. It was a murder. The man was murdered. You know what I mean? And the news would describe it as if it was the singular event in history. This horrific crime that took place in the streets of New York in broad daylight, this harrowing attack. And I'm not saying that it wasn't. I'm just saying that the woman in the video with her coffee that got out of the way didn't spill. It was one of the most New York things I've ever seen. For someone to get shot and then a bystander be like, he ain't shooting at me. And so then they catch the shooter, right? And when they caught the shooter, I was at a coffee shop. And everyone got a notification on their phone. We weren't all talking to each other. Just you could see everybody was either already on their phone or pulling their phone, but I heard beeps. I heard all the little notification noises. And then in this coffee shop, I'm not even kidding, there was a collective, "Aw." Oh, that's the noise you make if the baby hippo Mudang dies. That was wild. Oh, yeah, they caught him in a McDonald's. And there was footage of him on the news later in that McDonald's eating a hash brown. And when I saw that, I was like, wait, he's eating a hash brown at McDonald's. He's eating McDonald's hash brown. So it had to be before 10:30. He's eating a McDonald's hash brown, which means somebody woke up early to snitch. Damn, barely awake at 9 o'clock. I don't know. Blinking. Oh, that must be him. Let me make the call. You know? And what's even crazier about that is apparently, at least as of the time I am talking to you, it looks like that McDonald's worker that called him is not going to get the reward money. Which, wow. is not gonna get the reward money. And people were looking it up. The person was like, why wouldn't I get the reward money? Everything. Apparently, what they were told and what the internet says is like, actually, the process of collecting reward money for turning someone in is very complicated because there's an amount that has to be approved by two different bodies, and one body approved the $10,000, but when it got up to like 50, 60, it wasn't approved by both bodies. So then when they turned them in, they may not get anything at all, actually, because there's so much confusion around how much to give them or if it's the full amount. And I'm like, damn, that's kind of wild to me, because there was no confusion when they called and they were like, nigga here. So y'all coming, or? That was very straightforward. There weren't any other things you needed to check before you came and picked them up, you know? That's why they in my opinion, they did it wrong, you know? If you're gonna call and you're gonna tell people that he's here, don't call the police right away. Get your money up. Call Blue Cross Blue Shield. Call Blue Cross Blue Shield and be like, hey, I know you don't know me, but I think I might have eyes on your boy. And we don't know what he gonna do next, so what are you thinking, 50, 60? I'm just wondering how much he's worth to you, you know what I mean? Because I could make some other calls if you want. I can call a couple different people. There are about 6 providers. Y'all got a real monopoly going on, so. Okay, because he might be here, he might not. Hurry up. It looked like he leaving. I always thought it was very straightforward. You know, there's a reward out for a fugitive, and then you turn in the fugitive and you get the reward. That's how it happens in all the Westerns. You know what I mean? But then they're like, oh, no, actually, I'm the FBI and the local police have to decide on an amount, and then there's like an arbitration process and everything. It's just so funny that, like, this whole thing happened, and then them trying to get their money just sounds like an insurance claim. You know? So then they come and they catch the dude, and he has everything with him. He's got his backpack with him, gun in his backpack, 4 fake IDs and everything. And it's kind of wild because so many people, when the attack first happened, thought this dude must be an assassin. How do you get out of New York? This man was in Manhattan. He did a shooting, and now no one knows where to find him. In New York, a police state with surveillance everywhere. The man was on an island. And he got off, and they couldn't find him. He must be a genius. And then you find him at 10:02 in McDonald's in Altoona, Pennsylvania, with hash brown crumbs all over his face. And then people went from calling him a genius, like, oh, he's so dumb. He's the dumbest man that's ever lived. Look, I think all this proves is one thing. When you read history and you look back, some of these people, because there have been individuals out there saying, you say he's a killer, I say he's a freedom fighter. There are some people that think he's a revolutionary and everything. Let's just say this. This is proof that even when you read a history book, revolutionaries were just sort of figuring it out as they went. You know what I mean? I'm sure Che Guevara had his days where he was like, y'all, I don't know. Whatever y'all want to do, I guess. They see the fake IDs, they question them, they bring them in and everything. And his name is Luigi Mangione, or Mangiani, or Mangione. There's so many different ways I've heard his name pronounced. that I'm not positive the name he going by wasn't just one of those fake IDs. Like, that's the most cartoonish name I've heard in years. Luigi Mangione. It sounds like you making fun of an Italian person. Luigi already wild. He don't even go by Luigi. And they put his picture all over the news and everything, and it turns out that he is very good looking. Like, just upsettingly good looking, almost objectively in a way. Like, crazy. Everything in its right place and everything's good. Strong eyebrows with a big smile and everything, and just all the pictures. Because you know when the news catch you, when the police catch you, they try to put up some, depending on who you are. This usually happens to black people, but it happens to white people once in a while too, where they try to find the craziest picture they can of you. And I think they tried, but it was tough work because he is a good-looking individual. Every picture looked good. He would just be with model rockets, looking like a model. Like, it was crazy. They take his mug shot, and the mug shot looked like a cologne ad. Like, that was upsetting to me as a fellow man. I was like, y'all gotta get one bad pic, please. One bad picture. He was doing everything in that mug shot but biting his lip. Like, you've seen the mug shot. My man was... Mugshot's supposed to be simple. Mugshot's supposed to be your face and your profile. Your face and your profile. Your height. It's supposed to be very quick and easy, you know? This man was so good looking, they took extra mugshots. There's some that are like a little lower than him where he looking down. Like... There's some up high where he just like, you can tell, even the mugshot photographer was like, now do it like you're a bad boy. They tried so hard to get a bad picture of him that they took stills from video. They tried to take stills from video because that usually gets people. You take a still from a video and somebody was blinking weird. Okay, normally people blink with both eyes at the same time. Every once in a while, like let's say you mid-yawn or something, or you're chewing, one eye might close before the other eye. And if you catch me in this moment, I look a little off, something going on with me. And now if you tell people I killed a bunch of people, you're like, I can see it. I can see it on... That's what the other eye is hiding, is secrets. That's why it's closed like that. Okay. They tried... This man was being led to the jailhouse through what looked like a tunnel, and he getting pushed by police through a tunnel, and he's screaming. And they took stills from that, and those still looked good. Who looks good screaming? This man's getting pushed through the tunnel, yelling back at the media, going, ah, like just... I'll show you right now. What about that was sexy? And people already thirst trapping. If we thought Ted Bundy got letters. It was insane. It was very aggravating. And then Every picture looked good to the point where editors and media consultants and stuff like that were like, stop putting pictures out of him. That's how good he looked. They were like, stop. You botched it. Don't put out another picture. And you could tell that the newspapers were getting aggravated because these newspapers and these media companies are owned by billionaires who are terrified right now of what's happening. And they see the public lauding this dude as a hero, and they're trying to get at least something. The cops literally had to tase this dude so he pissed himself so he took one bad photo. But even in that one, you're like, aw. I just know that there was somebody at a newspaper flipping out going, y'all can't do your job? Y'all can't take one bad photo of this man? Everything gotta be in focus? You can't even make it blurry? But I'm not gonna lie, when they caught that dude, I felt, everything started to come back up top, like surface level again, where I felt bad for a lot of different people, you know? I did feel bad for Brian Thompson's kids, because you don't pick who your daddy is, you know? And to a certain degree, I even felt bad for the shooter, because I'm like, you're 26, and you have money, something happened. Something happened. You're smart. You have your whole life ahead of you with all of this opportunity. You disappeared for some time, and now you do something happened, you know? But I felt especially bad, like really, really bad for women. Because finally there was a good-looking, rich, well-read man who has nothing to do with Hollywood, but he does murder some. So, you know what I mean? I could just see somebody trying to defend him. Just women defend their men too hard sometimes. Just like, he just did one. It was just one murder, okay? He can't even murder a little, like. You judging me because my man your man cheat, all right? How about that? Felt bad for a lot of people when it happened, when it became like surface level real again. It wasn't just this like spy crime mystery thing. It was like back down to earth with real people. I also feel very bad for anybody else who got shot that day. It's New York. A lot of people get shot in New York every day. Imagine you get shot in New York. Ow, they got me, right? And you holding it. And let's say you're an artist. So you actually do your own police sketch of your shooter, and then you hobble your way over to the police station and you put it in front, like, look, that's exactly what he looked like. I had a lot of time to draw it. Can you go looking? And then the police look at you and be like, sorry, this other thing's sort of an all hands on deck. You know? But yeah, it's tough. It's tough because, you know, there was even a lot of talk about which CEOs in this whole thing were safe. Do you know what I mean? Because like healthcare CEOs were on high alert, but I'm not gonna lie, you know, Luigi, he went to Starbucks and then he did that murder and then he hopped on a city bike and he left New York and everything. If you the CEO of Starbucks, you gotta be like, oh, thank goodness. You know, Starbucks does stuff too. Starbucks, they love that labor. They love that cheap labor. So for you to go to Starbucks before you take out a CEO, not gonna lie, you might as well shot that man with an iPhone. Like, what are you doing? And then he gets found at a McDonald's. I'm sure the CEO of McDonald's is like, oh, thank God, okay. I was always good, yes. You know, the CEOs were freaking out, you know, across the board. Who would have thought? Who would have thought CEOs were family? Do you know what I mean? Like, and let's be clear about something. Don't mistake the different CEOs that commented on this, the ones that stayed scared, the ones that appealed to a different way of doing things while they keep doing everything the same way. Don't mistake their self-preservation for empathy. Right? Because those CEOs, they know, you know? And it's not even as if people hated people because they were rich. They hated a system that destroyed people's lives, you know? Because Luigi is rich. Luigi is so rich. When I found out how rich he was, that's so rich. The dude's family owns 2 country clubs. Look. Why do you think I came? This dude's family owns 2 country clubs. This is just me outside looking in. I didn't even know you could own a country club. I thought it was owned by the country. I had no idea, because usually people don't put their name on the country club they own. It's not like it's Rick's Country Club. Like, that's crazy that Luigi's family had more money than the CEO, but then the CEO comes from like humble beginnings and has more money than Luigi does personally. And so it became this whole thing where some people started turning on Luigi and then rooting for the CEO. It was odd because people got too wrapped up in the money. But for me, it's not the money specifically. It wasn't about who's rich and who has more money than who. It was about a system that destroys people's lives, you know? It was about the fact that some jobs make you a monster and there are some jobs you have to be a monster to do. You know what I mean? And so for me, I don't even care that Luigi is rich, because the people, right? The people that love that it happened, the people that didn't care that it happened, the people that just wanted some taste of revenge for how healthcare and health insurance has destroyed their life. We use healthcare and health insurance interchangeably, but I think you know what I mean, how these insurance companies take the good work of doctors, the good work of nurses, and they make it so it's inaccessible, you know? And I think that the CEOs were scared, but let's be honest, not all CEOs were scared. I'm pretty sure the CEO of Ben and Jerry slept pretty good this entire time. Yeah, like, nobody was calling for all the CEOs. Nobody wanted to get Ben or Jerry. We were both very happy with those individuals. You know? You also have a year where whistleblowers who try to stand up to power and a system, not just like one person, right? Because that's why I think a lot of CEOs don't understand, and why a lot of news media didn't understand about how the people feel, is that there were people who tried to do things the right way. They whistle blew, hey, this company is doing this thing. It's either putting your life in danger or it's stealing from you. And then all of a sudden, 2024 seemed to be the year of whistleblowers turning up dead. You know what I mean? Look at the Boeing whistleblower. That dude turns up dead when he's supposed to testify in the thing he already risked his life to do, and you're telling me he just mysteriously died in the parking lot of his hotel room that nobody knew he was staying at? Come on now. Come on. And then my man is blowing the whistle on a bunch of stuff we already know. He's like, the door gonna fly off. We heard. And then another whistleblower dies, and another whistleblower dies. And then just today, the whistleblower that blew the whistle on OpenAI was found dead in his apartment. And so, yeah, I think that people, as in individuals just generally in the world are scared. They're scared of what happens when you stand up to power. They're scared of what happens when you try to do what seems like the right thing, you know? And these powerful people step in and we don't know, but it looks pretty obvious what happens. And I think for me, at least to me, people, all of us, are like mirrors of each other. And right now, the mirror's like shattered a little bit. If you put up two mirrors next to each other, you make an infinite image, right? In both directions. But if you crack just one of the mirrors, you've cracked the whole infinite image, you know? And so the way that they see us, not as people, not as people who they should take care of because we are their customers, we are their consumers. We gave them money in good faith for insurance, for our health, and then you deny when I need something. I've been paying all this money. If I had just saved the money and put it aside, I might have enough myself. And now you're standing in the way of me and my health, and you don't think that there's gonna be any blowback with that? You don't think anything is gonna happen next? That's wild. We're in a time where you see like Josh Shapiro come up and be like, this guy was not a hero, let me be clear. Sure, fair enough. I'm with you, all right. But you have to pass legislation. You have to get it through. And don't let a lobbyist sway you, and don't let a lobbyist sway your colleagues. You have to do something then. Because I cannot stress enough how scary it is, how much of an inevitability we're heading to. You know what I mean? If you look at history alone, all by itself, is a playbook for some people, is a cautionary tale for other people. I think a lot of the answer to what we're facing is in history. It's in Versailles. And when you read the history of Versailles, you read the history of French Revolution, it's very apparent that, you know, whether it's police, whether it's an army, guards, whatever it is, they protect the powerful, not the people. You know, and the only reason that the people won in the French Revolution, in my opinion, is because the army's guns took like a Seinfeld episode to reload. Like, say, yeah, you can probably get them up out of there real quick. Like you go to, I went to Versailles. I went there and it is beautiful. It's a testament, it's a monument to like what people can accomplish, but it's all one man's wealth. You know, it's all for the king. But the gardens are beautiful. Inside is beautiful. The mirrors, everything. It's decadent. It's when I walked in, I was like, wow, I get how this can happen. I get how you could have everything in the world and you want to make something like this and it's still not enough. You want to add to it. You want to build more, build better. You see the king's bedroom. You see where Marie Antoinette, her, it's like you see so much. And then you walk through the thing and you also are like, oh yeah, I can also see how if you were hungry enough and you broke in here and you saw what they did, you would probably grab everybody. It doesn't make it right, but France was headed towards an inevitability. You know what I mean? And if you get on TV and you say, this is wrong, this is absolutely wrong, okay, I agree with you. But what are you gonna do now? What's the plan? Like, politicians cannot afford to do nothing. CEOs cannot afford to do nothing. And the people cannot afford to do nothing. And if the last part scares you, you might be on the wrong side of history, you know? But that's a tough thing too, because now there's a lot of people saying like, all right, you got them, but good luck finding a jury. Good luck finding a jury that wasn't hurt by Brian Thompson. Yeah, that's a tough one. Because now, to me, all Luigi has to do is show up in court and be like, y'all, I tried to call and tell him I was crazy, but they kept me on hold for so long. They kept me on hold for so long, I figured maybe I'll just go talk to him personally.
Sometimes I find myself falling down whole rabbit holes online of things, stories and stuff. And there's a case, there's a trial. It just ended. And I think it may qualify for trial of the century. I know that's premature to say, but I don't know. I think it's pretty incredible. The trial of Young Thug just ended. Now, if you don't know who Young Thug is, he's a rapper. It's not a dog whistle this time, all right? Young Thug is a rapper that was on trial in Fulton County in Georgia, right? Basically, the state's case, what they were alleging was that he took all of the money that he made from music and he funneled it through and to a gang called YSL, a gang that he was supposedly the leader of, right? And that's the state's case. And the judge in the case looked exhausted. I've never seen a judge act like this before. Every time the court camera cut to her, her head was in her hands. I'm not gonna act like I know the law, okay? My understanding of the law sort of begins and ends with Law and Order SVU, all right? So I know you can sustain, and you can object. I've never heard a judge be like, you can't do that. She said it a lot. And now the prosecution in the case, the prosecutor had given out a lot of plea deals. Ton of plea deals. More plea deals than I thought you could give out. I didn't have a number in my head, but this felt like an egregious amount of plea deals. It just felt like she was going to the hood like, you get a plea deal, you get a plea deal, you get a plea deal, you get a plea. She was basically giving a plea deal to everybody in Georgia but Young Thug, right? And she was giving these plea deals in return for their cooperation, their testimony that she would use to piece by piece paint the bigger picture that the state was alleging that Young Thug's the leader of YSL. Everything they do is by his direction. All his money goes through and to them, right? And the only problem is the prosecutor in this case gave plea deals to some of the least helpful people in human history, all right? I've never seen people less helpful than this. It was astoundingly unhelpful. I was helping my friend move one time. And he and I had to move a pool table, just us, downstairs. And our third friend was there at the bottom of the stairs just watching. And even he was more helpful than anyone that the prosecutor gave a plea deal to in this case. At least he could be like, watch your step, something. I'm gonna tell you about some of the testimony. I'm gonna need you to be patient with me because a lot of the dudes testified in this trial are going by their rapper name and they haven't made it yet. So I don't know why it's spelled like that. I don't know how to pronounce it. Just, I'm gonna say he for short, all right? There's one dude that was on the stand, right? And prosecutor asked him a very specific question, very specific reason. She goes, did Young Thug have an issue with Rich Homie Quan bringing his friend to the party, right? Now, Rich Homie Quan is also a rapper who has sadly passed away. But his friend, to the best of my knowledge, allegedly, is a gang member, right? This whole question is to paint Young Thug as a leader of a gang. That's why he would have a problem with a different gang member coming to his party, right? So the prosecutor asked, did Young Thug have an issue with Rich Homie Quan bringing his friend to the party? And then this guy on the stand goes, Thug, did you have an issue with Rich Homie Quan? Never in the history of court have I seen someone ask a question by the prosecution and then go, I'll just go to the source. And so then the prosecutor goes, no, I'm asking you. Did Young Thug have an issue with Rich Homie Quan bringing his friend to the party, all right? And then this guy goes, I'm not Young Thug, so I don't know. Moments later, the prosecutor's asking question after question after question, all alleging the same thing, all to the same end, right? And this dude, he's not being combative. He's not even being rude. He's just not being helpful. And so then the prosecutor pulls up, I don't know if she pulled up it exactly, but basically references his plea deal where she goes, I have right here you answering questions definitively that I'm asking you right now. And then this guy on the stand goes, y'all wrote that, I just signed it. Never in the history of court, at least that I know of, and it's like, you know, the internet especially was of two minds because it was like people could not decide if these were like some of the dumbest people who had ever lived or legal masterminds. Because basically what this dude is saying in open court, right, is, look, you were about to give me how many years. I didn't want to do how many years, and you told me if I signed the paper, I wouldn't do how many years, right? So I signed the paper, but I'm not about to perjure myself. This dude was supposed to be on the stand for 3 hours. 3 days later. The prosecution is asking question after question after question, all to the same end, right? And, you know, references again. Look, I understand that we typed it up, but what is in this is based off of what you said to the police. This is based off of testimony you gave during interrogation. And he was like, yeah, but if you gave it to me to type up, it would say something different than what you have right there, right now. Even the prosecutor was like, oh. Question after question after question after question. And finally, this dude, he doesn't snap exactly. He doesn't lose it, right? I think he just gets exhausted. And finally he says, look, I'll tell you what I told the police. I'll say anything. Like, this is a witness for the prosecution. It's absolutely insane. The whole case is insane because you even look at the fact that the case had 3 different judges. Yeah, got passed off like a bad baton. First judge was Judge, I don't know how to pronounce his name. I think it's Glanville, yeah. And this judge, he does seem to suck. Like, he does. But he also had to put up with some stuff, too, because there were jurors that were fully out of pocket during this case. Just a couple of examples. There was one juror that got picked. It already took nearly a year, by the way, to pick a jury. which is insane. And then after they pick the jury, there's one juror that during the trial has started, and I think they just went to the Dominican Republic. Deputies got sent to their house, were knocking on the door and everything, and then they got back, and they had to appear in court, and the judge was like, you have jury duty, you have to be here to be on the jury. And they were like, every day? That sounds wildly inconvenient. Then the judge was ready to, hold this jury in contempt and was basically giving them an out because this judge in particular loved contempt. He had a lot of contempt. The entire trial full of contempt. And gave the juror a way out. He was like, look, I could send you to jail, I could fine you, but what I'm gonna have you do instead is write me a 30-page paper on the importance of being a juror. This dude sentenced her to APA style. He sentenced her to citing sources. You couldn't see his face in the moment, but even Thug was like, damn. That's cruel and unusual. I've never heard of that before. There was another juror that I admittedly, I don't even know what happened with this person, but I know that they got in trouble for for live streaming the case. Which is extra crazy because it was being live streamed. Like if you had been watching at home, you would just see them sitting with the jury like. You risk jail time for an extra angle. We are. Judge Glanville, oof. There was a lot of plea deals being given out the entire case, like I said before. And some of the things that were happening was, this is me guessing, but there were people that were not being super forthcoming, that they probably didn't necessarily have to be, but they were in some sort of trouble. And so the plea deal was just given just as an extra, it's okay, you can talk, we just need to get this guy, right? And even with that, there were still people that didn't quite want to testify. And then there were people that were being so difficult, state's witnesses who were being so difficult that the state just could not get anywhere, And there was one person, star witness. Basically, the prosecution needed a through line. They needed something that would connect everything. And so they laid a lot of it on one person in particular. Okay? And they needed his testimony so bad that they pretty much gave him immunity on the stand. I didn't even know you could do that. It sounds made up. It sounds fake. I feel like he thought it was fake too, because he was like, immunity on, so if I say something on the stand, answering one of your questions, and it implicates Thug, but it also implicates me, I'm okay? Yeah, you're okay, you have immunity. Immunity on the stand, you're gonna be good. You sure? Yeah, you're gonna be good. Okay, I'm not even joking. He goes, okay. Okay, but what if it's federal? And I love that. I love a good haggle. I love okay, I hear immunity, but can I get a federal? Can I get some federal? Federal, please. Can I get a little federal? Oh, it's beautiful. This dude gets all the stab, and you can tell he doesn't trust it. You can tell he's like, nah, they're up to something. Doesn't want to answer any questions, but we told you have immunity. All right. Basically compelling this man to testify, dangling immunity in his face. Sits on the stand. First question from a prosecutor. How old are you? And he goes, grown. And the prosecutor's like, what do you mean by grown? It's like, I'm an adult. Prosecutor is like, okay, seeing as you're an adult, how many years is that? And then he goes, looks over at the judge. I plead the fifth. Truly incredible work. Truly phenomenal, They would be asking him lots of questions, question after question. And it was getting frustrating for the prosecution. It was getting frustrating for the judge because, look, maybe I'm doing my best to be as fair as possible. But when you watch a case like this, it does just seem like if you're a defendant, you're up against two parties. You're up against the prosecution and you're up against the judge because everything in this case kept giving the prosecution chances, even when they would mess up. Because once again, they're not being given a lot with testimony, but there are things that they have in hard evidence. They're just not bringing them all together to make it cohesive, right? And then this star witness's testimony is not helping. So then, can't stress this enough, you cannot do this. Judge Glanville supposedly has a secret meeting with the witness and the prosecution, but not Young Thug's lawyers, right? It's something in Latin that I don't know how to pronounce, but you're not supposed to do it. And basically, in this meeting, this witness is then threatened with the dangled immunity and everything. Oh, we'll charge you for this. We'll hold you in contempt for 2 years. We'll put you in jail. All this stuff, unless you start testifying, unless you start answering questions to the best of your ability. I don't want to hear any more of this pleading of the fifth, all that stuff, right? And so then they go back to court, and he's answering questions so well that the defense gets suspicious. Defense is like, what happened between now and lunch? All of a sudden, he remembers everything. He remembered what color everybody was wearing. And then it comes to the defense lawyer's attention that there was this secret meeting. And so he addresses it in court, in front of the judge, to the judge. He goes, Your Honor, I've heard some distressing news that there was a secret meeting with you, the prosecution, and the witness. My client and I were not privy to. I don't know what was discussed. This person's acting different now. What is this? And the judge, instead of denying it, instead of being like, that's a horrible accusation, that's not true at all, the judge goes, who told you that? And you can look at it because it was live streamed. You can look, who told you that? And he's like, Your Honor, don't worry about who told me that. That's the least of my concern. It's who told me that. The meeting is my concern. He's like, no, I need to know. This is very distressing. I need to know who told you that. And he's like, Your Honor, it doesn't matter who told me that. Is that true? Like, did that happen? Who told you that? Who told you that? Who told you that? Who told you that? Over and over and over. And it's just wild that, like, in a RICO case involving supposed gang members, that the judge is like, who snitched? Nah, for real, who snitched? Huh? Like, hey, I need you to come up out them names. Who snitched? Ain't nobody play with. Look, I will bust everybody in here right now. Who snitched? And Doug's lawyer is like, no, look, I'm not gonna tell you, all right? I'm not gonna tell you how I came upon this knowledge. I'm just asking you if this happened. I'm asking you, maybe even for a mistrial. Like, how could this happen? He goes, who told you? Who told you? I'm gonna give you 5 minutes to tell me who told you. And Doug's lawyer is like, I don't need 5 minutes. I'm not gonna tell you. That should be the least of your concern. Like, is this true? And he's like, I'm gonna hold you in contempt if you don't tell me. I will put you in jail if you don't tell me. You will go to jail if you do not tell me. It's like, look, I'm not gonna tell you. You can put me in jail, but the problem is the meeting. The problem isn't who told me, right? And so then the judge does it. He holds Doug's lawyer in contempt, which is pretty terrifying. You know? This judge is basically going over and over again. Who snitched? Who snitched? I can't stand a snitch. And you know, and you couldn't see Thug's face in the moment, but he had to have been like, I know, right? And so then Glanville does it. He holds Thug's lawyer in contempt. And, you know, the Bar Association hears about it. And they show up to back Thug's lawyer up because that's terrifying. That's terrifying if a judge does something, doesn't even bother denying it, and then holds you in contempt for asking. That's a scary court system. You know what I mean? Because that's one of those things, if it can happen to anybody, it can happen to anybody. Like, I know that it's a case involving hip hop, involving like gang culture, whatever, but that particular thing, that could happen to anybody, I promise you. That's very scary, you know? And so the Bar Association shows up to back this dude up, and it looks like his case is gonna be heard and probably the contempt is gonna be thrown out. But basically, they tell Glanville, it's like, there's no way you're impartial. If you're trying this hard, there's no way you're willing to just let the facts play out. And so Glanville has to recuse himself from the case. And one of the things about recusing yourself, it doesn't undo damage. The case just goes on, you know? So there's still this like contempt hanging over Thug's lawyer's head and stuff. And then they move on to the next judge, and the next judge was the judge for a day. I'm not a judge, and I don't know how judges get cases and stuff. Apparently this case was just given to her randomly and everything, and then she got the case and she was immediately like, hey, y'all, I can't. And so many people were like, why? What's the problem? Don't worry about me. I can't right now. And so then the case goes to the third judge. You know, the judge just, that judge. The case goes to her, and she does her best. But it's very difficult. It's very difficult because there are things happening in the case that should just never happen. They actually had an officer come in who was, I guess you could almost call him a specialist in RICO cases through his police work, right? And even he made a mistake on the stand that had the defense asking for a mistrial because basically the state handled the case so poorly, so messy, just so confusing, right? That the defense would be asking for a mistrial consistently. They were asking for a mistrial the way that you act when you got 2 cards left in Uno. Anybody do anything, you're like, oh. Defense would call for a mistrial nonstop. That's a mistrial right there, Your Honor. He just sneezed. That's a mistrial. He gonna get everybody sick. Because this witness on the stand, his testimony, I'm pretty sure had to be thrown out because even though he's an expert in RICO and everything, it was 2 things were revealed that were pretty distressing. One, it's a RICO case, so they're trying to get everybody on everybody's crimes, but they never bothered to really look at the financial records of Thug. Which is pretty insane if you're telling me that all the money he makes, he runs through and to a gang. And you didn't bother to check a Chase statement or anything? That's wild. And then, while this officer is giving testimony, he makes a mistake that obviously wouldn't be called out by the prosecution, but does not get called immediately. And then the defense hears it, and then they're like, this is crazy. We can't allow it. Basically, he references past convictions as part of a testimony to what this person would have done in this case. And you can't do that. You got to judge it by the merits of the evidence you have in front of you about what happened right now, right? And at one point, the judge loses it. She storms out. The judge goes, I can't take it anymore. She hadn't even been the judge the whole time, but she was like, this is insanity. And you couldn't see his face, but you could imagine Thug being like, I know, right? Like, and so she almost grants a mistrial. There's a mistrial with prejudice and mistrial without prejudice. Mistrial with prejudice is basically don't even bring it up again. Mistrial without prejudice is like, okay, you didn't make the best case or something happened or a bunch of jurors went to the Dominican Republic, so like we can try it again later.
And so, the judge at one point has had it with the prosecution and is giving like a full-on. You just so rarely hear people talk to like this on a live stream that aren't on a Zoom call at home. Like this, she was just like, she was looking at the prosecution and she was at her wit's end and she was like, I don't know what to say to you. Like, I don't know, with the years of experience that you have, I don't know if you were willfully trying this case as badly as possible or if you were just so unorganized that you can't seem to string a coherent thought together on how 2 things are related. We've heard testimony. There are people that don't show up. We're leaving at 4:25. Like, what is happening? And the whole time, prosecution is like, oh. You ever just take your talking to because you're like, yeah, it's pretty bad. Yeah, and like the prosecutor had the same nod that dudes have on the street when they getting yelled at on Valentine's Day. It's just like, just go ahead and nod. Accept that you've messed up. It was so bad. And it'd be thing after thing after thing, whether it was jurors, whether it was judges, whether it was just wild testimony. There were people so uncooperative, right? Like, there was one point where they showed this guy a picture, right? And it's a picture of him and Thug and 2 other people. Apparently with the person, I don't know, I didn't see the picture, but apparently with the person who was murdered, right? because that's one of the charges. There's drug trafficking, there's like gun running, there's all this stuff, but there's also a murder, right? And when it comes to the murder, that's one of the big ones, because they're alleging that Thug paid for the getaway car, right? And so once again, not checking his financial record seems like an oversight. I'm not a lawyer. I'm just saying. And they show a picture, right, with all these people to someone on the stand. And they're like, do you recognize anyone in this picture? And he's like, I see me. Okay, fair enough. Even when it came to start with this, there was one time where they simply asked this dude, when did you meet Young Thug? And he was like, before I went to jail. And just for the sake of clarity, the prosecutor tried to clarify, which time before you went to jail? And he just goes, you right. And I don't know how you handle this sort of thing, because this ended up being the longest trial in Georgia's history. Also, one of the most expensive, if not the most expensive, because I guess plea deals cost a lot of money. And it gets so bad that every day, defense is like, hey, mistrial's still an option. You want to hit it with no mistrial? We can mistrial. You know what I mean? But then, you know, the prosecution would do something that would kind of warrant a little bit of a mistrial. Like there was even one point where they had someone on the stand read a caption from an Instagram post. And this caption had been poured over because basically through the hashtags, what a lot was being alleged, because, you know, whenever there's letters, whenever there's numbers, it could have no meaning, or it could have double meaning, or it could mean exactly what the prosecution wants it to mean. It could mean what the defense wants it to mean. And so they were arguing about this one picture over and over again before they would let the person just read it out loud to the jury, right? Because then I don't know if it's a gang, and I don't know if that was what the prosecution was alleging, but there was one point where the prosecutor was asking someone on the stand about a series of numbers, right? And a lot of people will sort of rep their area code. That's just a common thing throughout America, right? Exactly. That one, that's one of those things. It's like it's so unifying. Everyone does it. Like sometimes you just can't help it. Yeah. But this is my thing. The dude on the stand, prosecutor asked him, "What's 374?" And he was like, "Numbers." Maybe it's a gang, maybe it's not. I have no idea, right? But basically, there's this one picture that's being poured over and over again, and this was the straw that sort of broke everything, right? Because they made agreements, and they had even redacted the picture so that only what would be read was what the prosecution and defense agreed on based off of the evidence that they were both showing, right? But then when they actually gave the picture to the person on the stand, nothing was redacted. And the prosecutor had them read everything. And so then the defense is like, Your Honor. I've never heard a lawyer have to like go, Your Honor, kind of like, Mom, like. But this was it, Your Honor. We just went over the thing. Why would Shaw? And sure enough, Judge agreed. Judge was like, look, I gotta do something else with my life too. Like, it's just, it can't just be this. And the judge said an interesting thing, and like I said, I know a little bit about the law, most of it, what not to do from this case. But the judge says something where she's like, I'm basically trying to salvage something here because I don't want an entire jury's 11 months to be wasted. I don't want, which to me is a little weird. Their time's already been wasted. Like, this is about seeing if someone did or didn't do something. You know? And so that statement was said, but then, judge turns to the defense and goes, I'm not gonna grant you a mistrial with prejudice, but would you like a mistrial without prejudice? And defense was like, yup. And then she was like, I'm inclined to give it to you because this whole thing, this right here, no. No. And so then, they get to plea dealing a bunch of people day after day after day. And then they actually go to Thug and they're like, look, you're facing like 25, 40 years for all the things that we are alleging, right? But we'll give you probation, right? We'll give you probation if you just admit that you are the leader of YSL, a gang where you take all the money and you funnel it through into the gang and everything they do is at your direction. Like if you'll just say that, probation, you'll be good to go, right? And then Thug says, no, I'm not just gonna accept. You came to me to make your case for you. You know what I mean? No. And that's a very, I don't know, to me, that's a very, brave thing. I don't even fully understand all of the conditions around the sentence that he actually got, but that was what he was initially presented with. And he said no. And then the state said, okay, we're gonna make sure that you do 25 years. And that doesn't sit right with me. And it obviously didn't sit right with his defense attorney. His defense attorney brought it up when the judge was about to make a decision. Basically, he says, Your Honor, the state came to us and they said he could do probation if he signs this piece of paper, or he could do 25 years if he doesn't. And I'm just kind of curious why the state would allow someone that they're so sure is a racketeering, drug peddling murderer to go free with probation if they're sure, right? And that he'll do 25 years if he doesn't say what they're so sure of. And the judge was like, good point. That is very hard to argue against. And then the judge granted Thug probation and, went home. And there are some people that are like, man, if he could have just stuck it out a little bit longer, seen the trial to its end, there's no way he would have been convicted. The defense was ruining the state, just at every turn. And it was mostly the state tripping over themselves, right? And I get it, though. That dude sat in jail without bond. Dude was in jail for 2 years. He was in jail for a year while they picked the jury. He was in jail the entire trial, And And every once in a while, don't get me wrong, every once in a while, Thug would also laugh. Because, like, he was spacing a lot of time, but every once in a while, he'd also be like, how did we get here? This seems... Far be it for me to say, I'm just a rapper, but as far as the law goes... But what? I don't know. I don't know. I get it. I get somebody tells you, hey, you just do 3 more months, you'll go free forever. Maybe. That's scary, you know? And it's also scary that like, that the state needed it this bad. That a lot of cases come down to reputation over justice. You couldn't just take the L, right? It's like, no, you will die in prison for me to not look bad. That's terrifying, you know? And I know it feels like it can't happen. Yeah, I mean, like I don't rap, but I could see myself in a bad situation. You know, because it kind of begs the question, you know, did this person get away with a bunch of stuff? Or did the state just jam someone up for 2 years? You know, thanks. But that's my thing. It's like I don't even know. And I'm obviously not Thug. You know, I hope that everybody can like move on in the most prosperous way possible. I really do. Everybody that testified, everybody. I wish the best for everyone, I really do. I just can't seem to think there's a level of peace you have to attain that I don't know if I have. Because like if someone accused me of being this like drug running, you know, murderer, this horrible person, like this that did all these things and they were willing to put me in jail forever with a bad case that they didn't have enough evidence for. And then they were just like, you can go if you just sign it. I think it would make me mad enough to kill someone. But that's just me.